Hey, lols. Thanks for the resub. Alright, here we go. Falcon Heavy. This is the EchoStar 24 mission. It's a Falcon Heavy launch. This is a big rocket. Watching from your lift, hoping for a good start to the day. Let's cap off a stream with another rocket launch. I'm alright. Bye, Aqualex. I'll see you, buddy. Hey, Vickers. Absolutely. Oh, demo, he absolutely could. How's getting back to KSP? Good. Got my feet wet a little bit. Lols, we cooked up some dimension. Ow. We cooked up some dimensions for a new build, and yeah, we'll continue that build next week. I'm actually pretty hyped on it. It's just I'm getting really tired. I didn't really sleep much this week for one reason or the other. And because these launches are scheduled late at night, all the streams have been long streams. We did a lot of streaming this week, dude, but that's good. More rocket launches, the better. Bandit retrieved ad time. Okay. Guys, we're gonna run the, actually, Bandit, I'm gonna wait until we're inside the 10-minute mark. Remind me when we're at 10 minutes, okay? Yeah, right, Sea Kraken? But yes, demo, Ken could have convinced the U.S. government to cooperate with the Soviets about nuclear proliferation. Yes, he is the Giga Ken. He's Giga Chad Ken.
Nice launch check.
In fact, you know what? He's not even Giga Chad. There's no such thing. There's Giga Ken, okay?
Launch auto sequence.
We're appropriating Chad and saying that Chad-like behavior is now called Ken-like behavior.
For launch.
He was simply enough.
Vehicle is super.
Do you know the way the rocket is gonna fly? It's gonna go east, Ray Ray.
Separation confirmed.
Not up the coast, dude.
Dragon, separation confirmed.
Precision? Sometimes helps, not all the time though. I can dig it.
Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
I agree, demo.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again for the Falcon Heavy webcast of the Jupiter 3 mission. I'm Ronnie Foreman, and I'm joining you to follow our Falcon Heavy rocket liftoff from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. If you've been following along, you know that we stood down from Wednesday's launch attempt with an abort called around the T-1 minute mark. This was due to a valve that stuck open on one of the side boosters, preventing us from performing pressurization of a rocket component. We replaced the valve and checkouts were successful. So it looks like we are good to go today as long as the weather cooperates with us. So our team is working towards an on-time liftoff of 11:04 p.m. Eastern.
Sticky valves.
Today's mission is for our customer EchoStar and their Hughes Network Systems division, and will mark SpaceX's 3rd Falcon Heavy mission this year and 6th operational Falcon Heavy mission overall. And if you've been following along, this is also our 2nd mission in less than 24 hours. Late last night or early this morning, depending on where you're watching from, we were fortunate enough to find some good weather down in Florida and launched our 50th mission so far of 2023. We had liftoff at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time from our neighboring pad, Space Launch Complex 40. Back on 39A tonight with that great view you have on your screen, we have the Hughes Jupiter 3 EchoStar 24, or Jupiter 3 for short, on board the 2nd stage. Jupiter 3 was built by Maxar and will be the largest commercial communications satellite ever to launch into geostationary orbit, weighing over 9 tons.
Dude.
Once operational, Jupiter 3 will help meet demand for HughesNet satellite internet in rural areas of the United States and Latin America, as well as demand for Explore service for rural customers in Canada. In addition to supporting enterprise and government applications, Jupiter 3 will also power
That's for
higher-speed
thermals.
satellite internet service plans in North America, while helping to expand and enhance HughesNet across Mexico, Brazil, and South America. We'll have more about our customer and their payload later on during the show,
this is a
so be sure
record
to
for
stay
GTO,
tuned.
guys. No
Now
one's
at
ever
just
thrown
under
a satellite
T-minus
this
13
this
minutes,
big
all systems are currently go for an on-time liftoff of 11:04 p.m.
to
Eastern.
geostationary transfer. No
The
one's
vehicle
done that.
started propellant
'Cause
loading around the T-minus
she's
50-minute
heavy.
mark and is nearly fully loaded with propellants.
Boosters.
The range
are
is
gonna be
ready to
covered.
support, and we have a 25% chance of violation for weather today, but we're moving forward with the countdown to see if we can find some clear weather in time for liftoff. Of course, if for some reason we don't launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow at the same time.
Please, no.
So as you can see on your screen, although a little bit obscured by that LOX cloud, Falcon Heavy is essentially 3
good,
Falcon
Ray?
9 rockets strapped together, which means it can carry much larger payloads, not only to Earth's orbit, but to the Moon and Mars as well.
Don't think you're caught up to the
Like
live
the
stream.
Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy is a 2-stage launch vehicle, but the big difference is that the Falcon Heavy first stage is comprised
I
of
can't
3
fast forward
cores,
anymore.
and Falcon 9 has only 1. That means that Falcon Heavy has 28 engines in total. Each one of the 3 boosters has 9 M1D engines at the bottom, making for a total of 27 engines across the center core and both side boosters, which you have a great view of on your screen right now. The 28th engine, of course, is a Merlin vacuum engine on board the second stage, and that's what will power the payload to its final targeted orbit today. Altogether, the Merlin 1D engines at the base of Falcon Heavy produce 5 million pounds of thrust, which is equal to 18 747s at takeoff. In fact, the engines produce so much power that we don't run them all at full thrust at once until after liftoff. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the 2 side boosters will separate from the center core and come back to Earth for simultaneous landings at Landing Zone 1 and Landing Zone 2. Each of the side boosters on either side of the center core are flying for the 3rd time on today's mission, having previously supported USSF 44 and 67. If successfully recovered, the side boosters will be refurbished and used again on a future Falcon Heavy mission. Similar to previous launches, we'll be conducting a 1-engine entry burn today. This allows us to shorten the length of the entry burn for the side boosters, ultimately allowing us to increase performance.
Okay,
And speaking of increased performance,
we're inside of 10, or getting up to inside of 10 minutes, guys. At the 10-minute mark, I run pre-roll ads. And don't get me wrong, I'm not doing it because I make that much money off of it. I do it because ads are annoying, and I don't want ads to show up while the rocket is launching. So we're going to run some pre-rolls, dudes, and yeah, so I can get you as much of an uninterrupted restream of the ascent. So we'll run them now. And if you're subbed, well, hey, we'll wait for the others to come back. So the side boosters are landing twin RTLS. The center core is going to get expended.
So we do use different configurations of that second stage, depending on how long the second stage needs to operate after launch. A medium coast kit, which is what we're using today, provides better performance for some missions and includes an added battery loaf or power pack,
You have chosen
a painted gray stripe on the outside of the fuel tank,
I've
and
got
other
some yellow
hardware to
liquid
make
for
sure
your
the fuel
popcorn,
and stages
and it's
systems
non-dairy.
operate as long as needed once we get to space.
Thanks to the sub, dude.
If you look very closely
XJ.
just above the countdown clock on your screen,
months.
you can
Thanks,
see
brother.
that stripe of gray paint.
I
While
just
in
did,
space,
Penta.
the paint will absorb heat from the sun in order to keep the second stage fuel warm enough for our long flight today. Now, as a quick note, payload deployment for Jupiter 3 is scheduled to occur after 3 second stage engine burns and will take place around the T+3 hour and 30-minute mark. So hopefully you'll stick with us.
I'm not. Yeah, we're not staying.
Now,
up for
above
that.
the second
Payload
stage
deploys
is where
in
our
3
payload
hours.
is safely enclosed inside of our carbon composite payload fairing halves.
I'm good.
The fairing protects the payload from aerothermal loads, heating, and contamination during ascent.
Chosen one.
Once we reach the vacuum of space, though, the fairing isn't
61
needed
months.
anymore,
Thanks,
so
buddy.
we'll jettison the fairing halves as the second stage continues on its journey to orbit.
What is the payload?
Both fairing
Jupiter
halves supporting
3.
today's mission are also flight proven, just like our side booster.
So the fairing halves are being reused. That's what Ronnie was saying. Past the EJ would stay for that. Yeah, no, I know. Past EJ didn't own a house that needs to be fixed constantly.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Dre, gifted 6 subs. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. The payload, Mad. It is HughesNet Jupiter 3. Or Hughes Jupiter 3. Dude, this payload's a monster. This is going to be a record. It's going to be a record for payload moved in a single launch to geostationary transfer. It's not the heaviest payload ever moved into space. That's Skylab, launched via Apollo. But Skylab only went about 270 miles that way. This thing is going 23,000 miles that way.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
It's going a lot further away, and this payload is 9.2 tons, so 9,200 kilos, or about, give or take, about 20,000 pounds. It is a monster of a satellite. The thing's as big as a Greyhound bus. That's a render of it right there. This part, right there, that part is as big as, yeah, look. Hey, Tron, 78 months. Thank you. Dre, thanks for the 6 gifted. I really appreciate it. Yeah, see what I mean? It's the size of a bus. It's freaking huge. Yeah, this is going to be a record for throw, for payload throw weight or throw mass in one launch. This is it's big. No one's ever moved 9,200 tons to geostationary transfer. That is absurd. That's an absurd size for a satellite going that far. That's why they're using heavy, and that's part of the reason why they're expending the center core. They might, Dallin, yeah. Apollo LEM stack weighed more and went further. Yeah, but it wasn't going to geo.
For the
But demo, yeah, there's very few things that are this big that have gone this far into space. Yeah, the S4B, the LEM, the CSM, Orion, and that's about it. That are like this heavy. This thing is a monster. It's a monster satellite. It's the heaviest commercial satellite ever.
Montana.
Your mom.
Consulting
Oh!
doctor
Oh!
for the Ranger. At a
Bro, Andy,
national
77 months.
Coordinating in real
Jenny Park,
time
nice,
with emergency responders.
Here's the renewal
For the
message that didn't
Mango
show
Corps
yesterday.
in
Thank you for the 6
Brazil,
months of great content. You're welcome.
Expanding her family business nationwide and internationally. For the entrepreneur in Ecuador, promoting his business and taking customer orders.
It would be
for
not
the
as heavy as
grandmother
this.
in Mississippi,
And
meeting
Gateway
her
has its
new
own propulsion.
grandchild
Get out
by
there.
video chat. All this
Bebe.
and more as Jupiter 3 launches a new era
Right.
of
Investment, entertainment, prestige, worldwide. Investors, possibly you. Prestige, worldwide.
Go at throttle up.
join us.
Prestige, worldwide.
As a quick update, it looks like we
Dinkelberg.
actually don't have a recycle opportunity tomorrow, but
Discovery,
weather
go
has
at throttle up.
improved with only a 10% probability of violation. So we're looking great for liftoff.
Oh,
Next
nice,
up,
do him,
in
do it.
preparation for
Hip.
liftoff, the clamp
44
arms.
months.
Retract in progress.
There you go ahead and hear Mission Control has commented that we are hearing or we're getting ready for strong back
Watch
retract.
the clamp arms.
Which is when that large truss structure, or called the TE or the strong back for short, will start to retract away from
Strong
Falcon
back
Heavy.
is longer than TE. She said the TE or the strong back for short. Transporter erector. I get it. It was making a joke. Okay, be quiet. What's the mission? This is the Jupiter
Now,
3.
before we can retract the TE,
Jupiter 3
Go
mission,
throttle up.
Wheezy. This is a 9,200 kilogram satellite going to geostationary transfer. It is the biggest geostationary communications satellite ever
Discovery,
launched.
go at throttle up.
That's why this is kind of a big deal. It's pretty cool, man. Yeah. Winds trended bad, but still go. Might be too windy, guys. Rockets have to worry a lot about wind. Not necessarily down here. That wind doesn't seem too bad. It's the upper level winds, so the winds that are up in the jet stream. Because the pressure is lower up there, winds go way faster. You're going to get hit with winds that are like 200-300 miles an hour. You got to be very careful about that. Those upper level winds can rip rockets in half. We've seen it happen.
It can clear the launch pad.
Hey, Rev.
Side core LOX loads are complete.
78 months.
There's
Okay.
a call out that we're moving toward
she's
LOX load
rocking a little
completion
bit.
on Falcon Heavy.
Okay.
Center core LOX load is complete.
What's up with the two different
There's
names
the
for the
call out
satellite?
that the center core LOX load is
I have
complete.
no idea, Wishing. I just call it Jupiter 3. The different names could refer to its number in the constellation that it's a part of, Wishing, but I have no idea, dude. There might be. We'll see.
As always, those white clouds venting from around the side of Falcon
This is
Heavy
down in Florida,
are nothing
perps.
to worry about. That's just some LOX boiling off the surface of the internal tanks on board the vehicle. And when that boil
Okay, I'll fast forward us. Yes, we're caught up.
cloud,
Hughes makes all kinds of payloads, Nova. Yeah. Actually, was Howard Hughes' company. And they actually were
incredible
some of the
views
first
from the
people
launch
to
site
mass
down in Florida tonight.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
to relatively mass-produce
There's the
satellites
final
like
call out that
geostationary
LOX
sat
loading
buses
is
and stuff.
complete
Yeah,
on Falcon
Hughes
Heavy.
kind of led the way
That
there
means that the
in the
next
70s.
major flight milestone we're listening for is startup. When you hear Mission Control call out that Falcon Heavy has entered startup mode, that means that the internal flight computers have taken over the countdown.
T-event.
That's also the point during the countdown where Stage 1 and Stage 2 begin to pressurize
More
for
or less
launch.
green, yeah. They made satellites, Sid.
Ground gas closeout.
Okay, ground gas closeout's happening. Twin booster RTLS dyno, the center core will be expended. They had a stuck valve, Ramsey, on one of the side boosters that made it so the tanks couldn't pressurize for flight. Wind's trending back to good. Thank you, Devlin. This is the point where we stopped the other day. Okay. 60 seconds.
Falcon Heavy is in startup.
There's that call out that Falcon Heavy
There's
is in
the startup call.
With that, the only thing left is to hear Mission Control Launch Director give us the final go for launch.
Falcon Heavy, go for launch.
Oh,
Great
here
news
we
out of Mission
go.
Control. So with just a little
Come on,
bit more
baby.
than 30 seconds to go, all systems are go for the launch of Falcon Heavy and our Jupiter 3 spacecraft.
30 seconds
30
remaining.
seconds.
Let me see your pog face, chat. Show me your pog face. Here we go.
T-minus 10,
10. Sound
9,
suppressor is prime.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition.
Oh,
Engine full power.
fly, baby, fly.
Go, Falcon 9.
Yeah, buddy.
Go, EchoStar.
Dude. That's awesome.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is
Dude.
nominal.
It's great. Okay, it's looking good. We should get a call here for power and telemetry in the next 15 seconds.
We are just
Vehicles
over
rolling.
30 seconds into flight under the power of over 5 million pounds of thrust, and Falcon Heavy is on its way to space. Right now, we're throttling down in preparation for max Q, which is, of course, the moment of peak
Power and telemetry nominal.
There we go.
callouts there.
Into
The
the
power and
clouds.
telemetry are both looking good for Falcon Heavy. Again, what we're preparing for next is max Q.
Okay, look. They throttled back the center core engines. See that? See the plume? It actually kind of looks like this, right? They throttled the center core engines down because they want the center core to have a little bit more fuel. So when the boosters run out of fuel, the center core is still going to have fuel to keep going. You could see that there were the 3 throttles out of the 3 Falcons coupled together there were different lengths.
Now the engines are throttling up. Everything's looking good with the stage 1
Oh.
trajectory, which is great news.
Dude.
Our side boosters are throttled all the way up
2Gs.
right now, but the center core is operating at reduced power.
Yeah, right.
We'll gradually begin reducing thrust from the side boosters to decrease forces on the vehicle structure as we approach our
that's
next
killer,
major
man.
flight event, BECO. BECO, which stands for Booster Engine Cutoff, is expected at about
BECO.
2.5 minutes into flight. That's where we'll shut down the engines on the side boosters. And then following BECO, the side boosters will separate away from the center core and
That's
begin their
awesome.
trip back to Earth. The center core engines will then ramp up to full power and burn for approximately another minute, while the side boosters execute their boost back burns simultaneously.
15.
Incredible
nope,
views of Falcon
nope.
Heavy right
You're
now. And as a reminder, although we are not attempting
10
to recover
seconds.
our center core due to performance today, we will be attempting to land those 2 side boosters on landing zones 1 and 2, so we'll have great views for you on the right-hand side of your screen.
Stand by for the call for boosters, side booster cutoff. It's going to 230. It wasn't 220, it's 230. There's booster engine cutoff.
Side booster separation confirmed. Side core separation.
There we have confirmation of side core separation there. And shortly,
Wicked.
those side boosters are going to begin the first of 3 burns prior to landing
Back startup.
back on land. There's the
All
call
right,
out
watch,
that we've
watch
had
this.
boost
You'll
back
see the 2
begin.
boosters fly away.
We're going to have several things happen in quick succession here. So some of the things we're looking for are MECO on our main engine,
That's sick.
and then those 2 entry and landing
Yes!
burns of the side boosters.
Yes! That's both of them. They use the thrusters, little tiny thrusters
On your screen
to
right
flip
now,
around
we have
and come back.
views of both of those side boosters on their way back to Earth. There we go, over on the side right there.
Dave, 76 and 76. Thanks, man. It's the RCS green, I'm pretty sure. So, this weird phenomenon that you're seeing
Following
up
main
there,
engine cutoff,
the weird phenomenon that you're seeing up there, it looks like the gases are flowing in weird directions. That's actually the 2 boosters boosting back next to each other. And because it's low pressure up there, gas has a lot of time to expand. And they're actually colliding with each other. That's why it looks like the gases are flowing like sideways, because they're the 2 boosters firing both their engines right next to each other. The plumes are interacting with each other. It's really freaking cool.
Booster boost back shutdown.
Okay.
there's confirmation that the
booster
boost
shutdown.
back burn
Stand by
on both
for
side
MECO
boosters
cutoff.
has
Stage
completed.
separation confirmed.
Okay, we got a good set.
Acquisition of signal Bermuda.
AOS for Bermuda, upper stage ignition.
Stage 1 FTS
Stiffening
has phased to center
separation.
core.
Impact ignition.
We're good. Thank you very much, Center Core. Appreciate the ride.
So you saw on your screen there, we had successful boost back burn on the side boosters, main engine cutoff on our center core, stage separation, and that beautiful view means that we have had second
Stand by
engine
for the call
start
for
1.
fairing separation.
That will wrap it up.
Fairing separation confirmed.
That wraps it up for our center core and our fairing halves tonight.
What a
So while
beast mode
stage
of a
2 now
rocket this
continues
is.
on its journey to space, those fairing halves are currently falling back to Earth.
All vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
With that, we know both vehicles, the center core and stage 2, are on nominal trajectories. And of course, we're going to try to recover those fairing halves again tonight using our recovery vessel, Doug.
Doug. Very well, if that is your custom. Doug.
So next up, we'll be attempting to recover the 2 Falcon Heavy side boosters on land back at LZ1 and LZ2. Fun fact, Landing Zone 2 was built to support dual booster landings like the one we're attempting tonight. Now, at the time of separation, the side boosters were traveling
I
slow
don't know,
enough
Switch,
to
but it'd
turn
be a
around
lot.
and make their way back to land at those side-by-side landing pads. But they've picked up a lot of
Yeah,
speed
Jimbo.
since
Rockets-
then.
rockets
So in
go
just a
fast.
few minutes, the side boosters will execute an entry burn, followed
Oh.
by a landing burn.
This is the best part.
Both of these burns are meant to slow the side boosters down rapid landing. If those landings are successful today, they will be the 211th and 212th landing of an orbital class rocket.
600 miles out, Hellfish.
But as
We're
I
going
mentioned earlier,
real
because
far.
of the additional performance required for this mission, the center core will be expended, and we're not attempting to recover it.
Rip. Wine
Entry
pads down
burn
on the
should
drone
begin for
ships.
those side boosters in just about 10 seconds.
Easier to get the booster when it's sitting down the street, Corretto, instead of about 400 miles offshore. So, what the boosters are going to do here, what these boosters are going to do is they're going to light their engines. They're going to light their engines during what's called the entry burn. There's one. There's 2. Whoa, a little bit of a delay there, but they do stagger the boosters. Now, on top of the first stage is slowing down here, what they're actually doing is repelling the re-entry heating. The reason why they call it the entry burn is that because, well, the boosters don't have any heat shields on them. I mean, there are thermal elements here and there, right? Like small stuff, but there's no like ablative burned off heat shield. When the Falcon 9s come back down, right, they get plasma accumulating on it. The reason why they do the entry burn is to fire the rocket engine and provide Falcon 9 a cool medium of gas so the booster doesn't break up during re-entry. That the engine's firing is the heat shield. That's the coolest part, and not as cool as seeing the entire coast of Florida right there. There's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. That part is called supersonic retropropulsion, and it's my favorite part. It was an idea that was pioneered by NASA for landing payloads on Mars.
On their way back to land at LZs 1
Dude,
and 2.
Look at you can see Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Here we go.
Landing burn has
One
started.
landing burn. 2 landing burns.
Side booster landing leg deploy.
First landing leg down. This one's a little late. Two in the pipe, ready to go. We be fast, they be slow.
That is absolutely incredible, and as you can see, our team is thrilled.
Stage 2, yes, that's stage 2.
So
With that,
cool,
we have
dude.
successfully landed both Falcon Heavy side boosters on landing zones 1 and 2. That marks the 211th and 212th overall successful landing of an orbital class rocket.
So, guys, a little bit of perspective. Those boosters are as tall as a 15-story building. Just in case you're wondering. Each of those side boosters, they're 15 stories tall. So go look at a 15-story building. And it's like, that comes back from space and lands. It's like, oh, all right. Yeah, okay. I made my bed today, SpaceX. Whatever. Okay. That was second stage engine cutoff. We're good.
Confirmation of second engine cutoff 1.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And that's great news that we're in a good orbit. So at this point, we'll be heading into a coast phase until our second relight of the MVAC engine around the T plus 26 minute mark. We'll come back to bring you live coverage of that second burn in about 15 minutes. But until then, sit back and enjoy the space tunes.
We'll get for SES. We'll watch till SES2. The satellite deploy. The satellite deploys 3 hours after SES2. There's a shot on board. New space tunes. Intergalactic space beats to chill and study and relax to. Yes, Jim. 230 by 160. So Devlin, if I'm understanding this right, the next burn here is going for an apogee. Where would it be? 16,000 kilometers, because it's by elliptical insertion. If I'm understanding that right, or am I wrong?
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Oh, okay. Hey, Lev, gifted us up to Nereus Wolf. Right on, thank you. It was a good, clean landing. The boosters were quite staggered, but yeah, it's really good. The center core is still on it. Well, no, it probably burned up. When a rocket goes to the moon, it obviously needs more fuel to go to the moon than low Earth orbit. So now, if this was going to the moon, what would the main engine be on? What would the main engine be on? It would be on the rocket that sends it to the moon. Hey, Jordan, gifted 5 subs. Thank you. Sid, I don't understand. You need a much bigger rocket to move a similar payload to the moon, if that's what you're asking. You'd need something like the Saturn V to move this big of a payload out to the moon. Oh, yeah. And even then, you're going to need something else attached to this thing to step on the brakes when you get near the moon so the lunar gravity can pull you in. 3 burns to GTO.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Yeah, they're doing, it's a bi-elliptical transfer, Devlin. Yeah. Cool. The the core is gone. Look, its trajectory stopped before it crossed the ground, meaning it broke up. No supersonic retro propulsion for that thing. It burned up. Does Falcon 9 have header tanks for landing? It does not, Les. Center Core said goodbye and then lost the signal shortly after. Plasma knives. It's a knife, mate. Oh wow, exactly. Yeah, Sid, I figured that's what you were getting at. So, like, here's the thing, dude. It's not just can this rocket move something here. Falcon Heavy could probably shoot 9,200 kilograms that on a lunar trajectory, right? Like, it could probably do it, but here's the thing. Like I said, you got to step on the brakes when you get to the moon, and there's no brakes on a spacecraft. You literally turn it around and go and drive. You put it in drive and hit the gas going in the opposite direction to slow yourself down. That's why you need such a big honking rocket to get out to the moon, to get anything useful out to the moon. Because not only do you need to send whatever you're sending to the moon, but you need to send something that has enough fuel to get it to jam on the brakes when you get out there. That's really important to understand. Falcon Heavy could shoot this thing out past the moon, and it'll just go past the moon and keep going, or crash into it, right? But that's why you need such a bigger vehicle to go out to the moon. Like Falcon Heavy could support some kind of lunar architecture, but you still need something to step on the brakes when you get near it. The only way you don't need something to step on the brakes, sorry, there's a fly. The only way you don't need something to step on the brakes is if you do what's called a lower energy transfer, okay? So lower energy transfers don't take up as much fuel, but they don't take as much fuel, but the time goes exponentially up. For instance, there was a Korean satellite called the Korean Lunar Polar Orbiter, KLPO or KPLO, Korean Polar Lunar Orbiter, yeah, that went out to the moon. I think it was KPLO. I think. It may have been something else. But it went on a ballistic lunar trajectory, BLT, yes, sandwiches. And that ballistic lunar trajectory took months. It took months for it to get out there. Now, Sid, think about like going to the moon. Do you want to sit on a spacecraft for like 5 months just to get to the moon? No. You need a higher energy transfer. And that higher energy transfer needs way more delta V. So that's where you need something like the Saturn V. You need a big Saturn V, or you need SLS, or you need Starship or something. Capstone did ballistic lunar transfer. Cool. Gonna be some PTC during the next coast period. Right on. So, Sid, the difference here is higher and lower energy transfers and what you're moving out there. You want that high energy transfer so you get out to the moon in 3 days instead of 5 months. You're going to need something to step on the brakes. And in this particular case, for like the Apollo program, it was the Command Service Module, the CSM. That's what they did to step on the brakes to capture inside of the grav well of the moon. You got to step on the brakes or else you're just going to keep going. And what happens is if you don't step on the brakes, the lunar gravity will start to pull you in, but before it can pull you in all the way, because the moon doesn't have a lot of gravitational pull, it'll actually accelerate you and fling you off into a solar orbit somewhere. You'll be orbiting around the sun for the next billion years. Yeah, because you ain't coming back. You're going like 30,000 miles an hour and that way. You're not coming back. That is kind of similar to where they shot the Tesla Roadster on the first Falcon Heavy flight. They just shot it into a solar orbit that kind of went near Mars, but didn't. So, yeah, that makes sense. That the reason why this mission is nuts isn't because it's necessarily the heaviest thing that we've moved out in space, but you'd be hard-pressed to find anything that's out of geostationary orbit that's 9.2 tons. That's what makes this mission nuts. It's kind of showing that Falcon Heavy, you can kind of get stuff out to the moon that is relatively useful for human exploration. Now, don't get me wrong, they're probably not going to launch people or anything out to the moon with Falcon Heavy, but this shows that it could do it. It could absolutely do it. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not getting paid by NASA or anything to do this. Hughes is paying them to move this satellite up into space, but this is a pretty good example of being able to use Falcon Heavy for lunar architecture. Because, like, 9,200 kilograms is not the heaviest payload. Every ISS module that was moved to the ISS with the shuttle is heavier than that. Every major ISS module. It has way more mass than that. But the ISS is only 270 miles up there. So think about it. Like, all the big modules on the ISS are like 15, 20 tons, right? And they went 270 miles that way, about 400 kilometers, right? This thing is half of that, but it's going 23,000 miles that way, or about 38,000 kilometers that way. That's pretty nuts. That's a long way for a payload that high mass. That's a real long way. What about Stretch Dragon? I don't know nothing about that, Blackness. We've heard nothing about it, dude. Thank you so much. Makes perfect sense. I understand more. Yep. Wait, that is actually heavy for a satellite at that type of orbit. Yeah, exactly, Karema. Yeah. 9,200 to geostationary transfer is numbers that were unheard of 10 years ago. Even 10 years ago. If you were a guy that said, hey, I have a 9,200 kilogram satellite that I need to GTO, people would be like, no. It is a chonky boy. That's right, Jack. Yep. You want to see the launch again? Sure. That thing got out of the hole real quick.
7.
Here, this is a replay,
6,
guys.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Yeet!
1. Ignition. Engine full power. And
What a beast!
Falcon Heavy. Go Falcon 9. Go
What a
Falcon
freaking
Heavy.
monster!
Go EchoStar.
Dude.
Stage 1, chamber pressure is nominal.
Calm chonk. Yeah, there you go. SLS could do this in one shot. Yeah, of course it could. Sure. SLS could probably get this thing to geo
We
by
are
itself.
just over 30 seconds into flight under the power of over
How much
5
TWR?
million pounds of thrust.
Well, Phoenix, here's the thing. They don't throttle the engines to full power right off the pad. They send them at enough to make it like 1.2 TWR, and then once it gets a little ways off, then they hit the gas. But look, see, they throttled down the center core. That's so cool. The reason why they throttled it down is because the center core has the same amount of fuel and oxidizer as the two side boosters, and if you just yeeted them all at the same throttle, right, they'll all run out of fuel at the same time. You don't want that. You want the center core to last just a smidgen longer, so they throttled the center core down, right? And then they throttled everything down for max Q, and then they throttled the boosters back up, and then they throttled the center core back up. That should make it so it has a different amount of fuel and oxidizer inside of it, so it lasts a little bit longer. It lasts past the separation, which, oh, let's go look at it. Here, watch. As the boosters throttle down, you see the struts bend and flex right there. See? See? Oh, there they go. That's cool, man. All insertion values within 1 sigma. Very nice. Very nice. I mean, there's a lot going on here, dudes. That's pretty impressive. Here, let's see if we can get that landing. Here, right here. Oh. This is nuts, dude. Look at how much they light up the sky. That's ridiculous. That's silly. That's just silly. No problem, Rep. That's just silly. Yo. Alright, here. Should be getting up here to SES2. The second stage engine start 2 for, this is one of 3 insertion burns for this. This is a really complicated mission. Would they ever human rate Falcon Heavy? Nah, I think they said screw that, dark meta, and then said, you know, Starship, I think. Each one of those boosters, Spooty, is 15 stories tall. They're 150 feet tall. It's like, I don't know, 46, 47 meter. They're huge. You don't realize how big they are until you go and see one of these things. It's nuts. What's the reason for not wanting them to run out at the same time? Well, how are you going to separate the two boosters, right? You're trying to squeeze more performance out of the boosters, Oxy. The whole point of the boosters is to make the center core burn for a lot longer period of time so you go faster. Having them all launch and all flame out at the same time will accelerate you too fast too quickly. You have to control the throttle on the boosters to optimize around the air, like the atmosphere, right? If they all just had full power, they'd all flame out at the same time, and that would honestly probably destroy the thing. It's around, T-Man. Sid, I know Star Wars is fiction, but how did their spacecraft just launch off of a planet horizontally? Because they have, in Star Wars, they have engines that make ridiculous, literally have 0 point energy. So something that's the size of a golf ball can generate as much power as the sun. You need energy to be able to fly around like an airplane in space. You need a lot of energy to do that. What does human rated mean exactly? Reagan, there's a lot of different criteria for human rating something. One of the big criteria is that your ascent trajectory doesn't liquefy the crew on board because of the acceleration. That's a big deal. Yeah. Why wouldn't you have a long runway rail track to get initial speed from lander and power? Atmosphere's in the way, Howdy. It's the atmosphere, the air. It's in the way. It gets in the way, and if you go too fast against it, the air heats up and melts your vehicle. You don't want to experience re-entry heating on the way up, right? So what's the best way? The best way is to have a first stage that pushes you that way, as far out of the atmosphere as fast as you can manage. And then the second stage is the thing that goes fast. Sid, RE Star Wars and how do they do that in Star Wars? I don't know what the technical Star Wars explanation is. I would say dilithium crystals and just piss a bunch of people off, but long story short, Star Wars doesn't really have a fundamental understanding of how spaceflight actually works. Star Wars is not sci-fi; it's space opera. So, yeah.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey Raiden, 12-month resub. Wonder if they saw some crew melting on their simulators and that's when they decided Heavy wouldn't fly crew. Maybe. It's a race to avoid meltdown. Well, Howdy, here's what happens. So, have you ever noticed that planes don't really break the sound barrier down here so much? You see fighter jets flying fast around, right? I'm sure you've seen footage of that, and I'm sure you see fighters flying around breaking the sound barrier and stuff, etc., etc. But here's the thing, they can only do that down here for not that long. Up there, though, 30, 40,000 feet, way easier to go faster because there's less air in the way. Even up to where a commercial airliner is, the pressure is dropped by 60% comparatively to down here, at least. And the higher you go, the less air there is in the way. Think about it we move through the air kind of freely, right? But you're still pushing air out of the way if you do this, right? And if you start to do that fast, right? So down here, say you want something to get you to first stage velocity, right? Staging velocity is very, very fast. It's like 5,000 kilometers an hour. You want to go down here going 5,000 kilometers an hour, you're not going to move through the air and push the air out of the way. What happens is the air is going to compress up against the front of the vehicle because you can't move out of the way. There's other air molecules in the way. You can't move out of the way fast enough, so it'll start to compress. And if you compress air, you compress a gas, it gets really, really freaking hot. You want to hear something freaking metal? Eventually, you'll go so fast that you will literally start ripping air molecules apart. When these air molecules rip apart, they ionize and they make plasma. That's what re-entry heating is. Pretty cool, right? You don't want that on the way up. Because if you're doing that on the way up, now you need a heat shield for the way up and the way down. Right? You don't want that. That's too much extra weight. You don't want that. No. Bad idea. Go that way. That'll get you out of the atmosphere quicker than going that way. There's literally more atmosphere in the way. Make sense, dude?
Deployment. This burn should last about 2 minutes, and we're expecting it to begin here in just under 30 seconds.
He's not trolling, King, but whatever. I do stuff that flies through the air, Rep, not floats through the water. Okay, not my department. All right, we don't have a signal here because SpaceX doesn't have a signal through a ground tracking station. So we're just gonna, when they get an acquisition of signal, they will confirm. There's an AOS. We should be getting picture.
The ground station that we're passing may or may not be able to give us any live coverage of this burn. So we'll go ahead and listen in on the nets.
You see the telemetry is updating on the right of your screen. They got a signal lock on it, but it might not be a good enough signal to get you video. This is on like the very edge of the Gabon tracking station. Oh, nice. We got a signal.
There we go. There's stage 2 up in space, looking great. You can, of course, also always follow along with the stage 2 telemetry down in the bottom corner of your screen.
The center core was expended, new fire. You need to.
Expecting about another 40 seconds until we should hear the call out for second engine cutoff 2, or SECO 2, from mission control.
The fuel that center core would have needed to use to land was needed to use to get the payload in the second stage on the trajectory that they need to get on to get to the final orbit. So, yeah, that thing burned up. That couldn't move the air out of the way fast enough. It hit the atmosphere probably going 10,000 kilometers an hour or something like that. Yeah, it's gone. That is gone. Reduced to atoms. Dust in the wind.
Looking at probably 15 seconds more on this burn of the
Yeah, that's
Merlin
gone.
vacuum engine.
This stage is no more. It has ceased to be. So if we launch a ship to Jupiter, does it need to do gravitational assist from other planets? Depends if the rocket's big enough, Sid. And it depends if Jupiter's in the right spot. You ideally want to launch when Jupiter and Earth are closer to each other because they're both orbiting around and they both have different... A year on Jupiter is not a year on Earth. You know what I mean? Because it's in a bigger orbit. A year on Earth is one orbit around the sun. Jupiter is like... 1 year on Jupiter is like 10 years or something ridiculous. I forget what it is. But you ideally want to get where Jupiter
We're listening
and
in
Earth are
now to
closer
mission
each
control
other in
for
the
that
solar
call out
system.
for SECO 2 and nominal orbital insertion of the second stage.
Yeah, look at the speed. 35,000 kph. Yeah, that's pretty fast. Yeah, Sid, you really...
Nominal orbit insertion.
With that confirmation of successful second engine cutoff and nominal
Got
orbital
good
insertion,
NOI.
we are entering another coast phase. Our third and final burn of the MVAC engine prior to payload deployment is scheduled to
It's
occur
12,
at the
Bill. Thank
T
you.
plus 3 hour and 33 minute mark. So until then, stay tuned and enjoy those views of space.
So, Devlin, it's 32,690 by 185. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're doing. I see what they're doing. It's a bi-elliptical geostationary transfer insertion. I'm not just making up words, I swear. So, bi-elliptical, meaning that they're using multiple burns to get to the final destination. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you split it up over multiple burns? Well, the idea behind doing something like that, guys, is to change another factor of the orbit other than altitude relative to the surface of Earth. They're probably doing this bi-elliptical transfer to change the tilt of the orbit. This thing didn't launch directly on the equator. It launched from Florida. Now, if you look to see where the equator's right here, right? You can see that big deserty spot where the equator is, right? See that? It's really hot around the equator because it's closer to the sun. No, other reasons, right? So if this orbit is tilted relative to the equator. In orbital mechanics, that's called inclined. It is an inclined orbit because it launched from Florida. Florida is not at the equator. Pretty straightforward stuff. That's a piece of solid nitrogen over there. That's solid oxygen. Yeah, I can get into why that's doing that in a second. Because this orbit is tilted, and because geostationary orbit, where this satellite is going, is an orbit with 0 degrees inclined, meaning it follows the equator for the most part, you're going to need to correct that tilt. That's why they're splitting the burn up. You have to correct it. Now, they could have just done it. They're venting down the engine. This is solid oxygen that's accumulating on a vent line right there. The reason why they vent down the engine is because you don't want to leave liquid oxygen inside of the engine. You think salt on a road will rust your car out? Well, liquid oxygen will rust a rocket engine from the inside out in a couple of hours. Yeah, oxygen oxidizes things. Funny how that works, I know, right? So, Falcon Heavy could have taken a left-hand turn at Albuquerque here and tried to follow the equator, but that's literally taking a left-hand turn going 34,000 kilometers an hour. You don't want that, no, You want to wait until you're going a little bit slower, which is why their insertion apogee is 32,000 kilometers that way. When you're all the way up there, your potential energy is maximized and your kinetic energy is minimized. Basically, the Earth's trying to pull you back in, and because the Earth's trying to pull you back in, your speed goes down. Easier to turn when you're going 1,000 kilometers an hour rather than 34,000 kilometers an hour. Does that make sense? So that's why they split the burns up, to correct for tilt, amongst other things, or inclination, if you want to say. Started at 28 degrees incline, now 25. Goal is under 10. There you go. Due east from KSC would be 28 incline. Yes, and Devlin's saying they started at 25. Ooh, nice shot. Is this one going to Jupiter? No, it's going to geostationary. This is a geostationary, bi-elliptical geostationary transfer insertion orbit. It's a complicated mission. Kerbal players, you understood what those words mean. Don't lie. Leave Uranus out of this. Yeah, but what about Eurectum? It's a moon that orbits around Uranus. You just made that up, right? Huh? Yeah. Wait, which parts? Which part, Steve? The part about orbital mechanics? Because that part was right. The Eurectum joke is not... No, that's not a moon. The
Discovery,
moon
go at throttle.
butt jokes. Okay. Well, we derailed. All right. Well, that's no moon. Every time, guys. Which orbital rocket do you think got to the highest speed before any staging happened? Probably like Delta IV Heavy, Christian. A long time. The core stage on a Delta IV Heavy burns five minutes into the burn. 5 minutes into total ascent. That's like 2/3 of the way to orbit. Bro, what do you do for a living? Dre, this is my job. I stream professionally for a living. That was a great shot of Earth, by the way. You do know that Uranus is pronounced Uranus now. Yeah, I know, username. I called it Uranus because of the joke. You know what? Just shut up and enjoy the view, okay? Just enjoy the damn view. Jeez. Thanks, wife wanted to know. Yeah, no problem, Dre. All good, man. Hi, by the way. Hi, Dre's wife. I'm EJ. I have to be weird because it's the internet. So, like, if I come off as a little bit like, yeah, it's because it's the internet. Everything's weird here. It reads, okay? This is why we can't have nice things. Yeah, right? Yeah, actually, the SLS core stage would probably be the fastest thing that's never made it into orbit. Either that or the manhole cover. We have spacecraft that have launched to the sun, right? Actually, nothing has ever gotten to the surface of the sun, Sid. Most things would melt entering what's called the solar corona. Yeah. Yeah, we have something that has skirted the solar corona. That's the Parker Solar Probe. How fast is it going? 470,000 miles an hour. Yeah, that's fast. Yeah. The internet reads? Yeah, okay, that's fair. What do you mean a manhole cover? Facha, one time we put a nuke basically down a glorified sewer pipe and put a manhole cover on top of it and then blew up the nuke to see what would happen. So that manhole cover is either orbiting around the sun or it disintegrated on ascent because of entry heating. Good night from Tennessee. All right, S. That's some good CJI you made. It's almost believable. King, have another beer, okay? What is the designation for the ISS for Stefan.space? Type Zarya. Amadeus. Zarya. Z-A-R-Y-A. It's the Russian word for star. That'll show up. The reason why is because that was the first ISS module, so COSPAR ID classification classifies something that's linked together multiple times as whatever you launched first. What if you land on night and winter? Oh, yeah, you should do that. So COSPAR ID is basically a number for that. COSPAR is what they use to track debris in space. So it's done on a yearly classification. So like 1985-01A, which would be the first rocket that was launched in 1985, and A is the payload. If a second stage put that payload into space, the first rocket that was launched in like 1985, and the second stage got stuck in a graveyard orbit, the second stage would get the designation 1985-01B. Make sense? Nice, freaking nice view. This question you're typing in Zarya in Zvezda. So when you get to Z, what's after that? Steve, if you got to Z, that means your rocket had 26 stages. Types of classification like that, it goes into the Greek alphabet after that, if I'm remembering right. That usually that means your thing exploded in space, and they're tracking as much of it as possible. You don't usually have 26 stages on your rocket. All good. Well, I learned a lot today. That launch was definitely worth staying up for. 4 nights straight. Yeah, I know, Oxy, right? You were here all 4 nights, man. Cheers. What kind of rocket would you need to reach Proxima Centauri? Reach Proxima Centauri? I mean, we could get a rocket there in a couple 100 years. Take a long time, Sid. Proxima Centauri is what, like 7 light years away? That means if you're traveling at the speed of light, it would take 7 years to get there. We don't have anything that even approaches 1C, which is the, like, math way of saying light speed. You'd need something that goes really, really, really fast to get there on any reasonable time frame. Prox is 4.2. I think Alpha Centauri is further away. Yeah, what Green Dragon said, Steve. I mean, 4 light years away on a galactic scale is very, very close. That's really close. For us, that's not close at all. That would be like ants trying to build a boat to cross the Atlantic Ocean to go meet up with other ants in Europe. Nope. That's a long way. Proxima Centauri. This question. Why are you typing in Cyrillic? You're not Russian. Remember, no Russian. It's already done. They used humans for that. Yeah, probably. Ants, he's onto us. Build faster! Proxima Centauri is one of 3 stars in the Alpha Centauri system. That's right, Kulani. Yeah, that's the correct thing. Sorry. You can do it in 12 parsecs. Nice try, Han. Maybe we need to go to the Lando system. Let's all go to Zeta Reticuli. We should go to Zeta Reticuli, Pi, just because the name of that sounds really freaking cool. Zeta Reticuli. Lando's not a system, he's a man. I'm the Baron Administrator of this facility. How would you stand in the Lando system? Its floor is destroyed. Land up. Truck tire. We need to discover Vulcans. Well, guys, if any of you guys want to just go do a Zephyrim Cochrane and invent some warp drive, yeah, that'd be great. That would really help. Wait, are you going to go until it deploys? I probably shouldn't. Isn't the system that Lando's on similar to a gas giant like Jupiter? Or is it more like Venus? It's more like Venus, but Bespin is more like Venus. They're harvesting gas, Tabana gas in the atmosphere. Yes, I'm a Star Wars nerd. Yeah. NASA has a warp drive program. They do. I'm not doing that, guys. I'm tired. Why do we need to find Vulcans? Spock? Poof, what was your question, bud? I'll answer a couple more questions and then we're gonna call it a night. I've been going for about 12 hours. Poof, did I miss you? Did I miss your question, bud? Or did chat help you? You good? Yeah, that's fine, kid, man. It'll be alright. Spock hasn't been born yet. Heck, Sarek hasn't been born yet. Yeah, that's fair. Do you like Halo lore? Sha Fujikawa translate engines, Cryo? Yeah, I'm a fan. The demon! Why look for Vulcans? ULA's making them. No, different Vulcans. Different Vulcans. We're looking for Darth Vader. An extraterrestrial from the planet Vulcan. Alright, T-Money, good night. Star Wars question, which shipyard is better, Corellian Corporations or Rendili? I'm more of a fan of the Kuat drive yards. You know, Kuat drive yards. Yeah. The Corellian ships are fast, but Kuat ships last forever. Yeah. You will not stump me on Star Wars. It's not going to happen. I know they do, Jack. Yeah, that's good. Unless you fly a small fighter into one. It's impossible on Commodore. No ship that small as a cloaking device. Did you play Hardscape Shipbreakers? Yeah, it was a good game. I actually talked to the devs and they at PAX one time, Doom. Nice people. Really, really good dudes. Guy had a Red Sox hat on, though, so we became friends. I think it's Kuat and Tralla now. Yeah, but the Kuat drive yards. It's Kuat drive yards, okay? Come on, they make Star Destroyers and Venator classes. ISD and Venator class, come on. They're some of the most iconic ships in the Star Wars universe. Got to start the westward motion over the northern coast of Australia. Is she going to start flipping? Wait a minute, Devlin. Are you telling me that the second stage is going to try spinning? It's a good trick. Do a Halo and make the Sha Fujikawa translate engine. Yeah, I just said that, but yes. I wear a Red Sox cap every day as well. Why? Yes, but YT 1300s. You guys know that, like, if we're going to attribute Star Wars ships to cars, a YT 1300 is, like, You know, like a YT-1300 is like this, right? Like, this is the car equivalent of a YT-1300. You understand this, right? Also, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd drive it, especially if it has a big block in it. But that's another story. You played baseball for 10 years. All right, dude. There you go. It's already spinning in PTC right now, but ground track is showing westward south over Australia, Singapore, southern China. Got it. I never understood what happened when Vader says, "I have you now," when firing at Luke in the trench. He never misses, but he missed Luke with those shots. He didn't have a shot. He had a lock. He had tone. That was that. I have you now, like the targeting computer. But see, that's why, you know, you don't announce in any type of combat that you're going to do something, because if you had just taken the shot, the Death Star would still be around right now. Your thoughts on Andor? I liked Andor a lot. Andor's a great show. Who's my favorite character? I like the Scottish security guy that works with Cyril Karn. Said, there's pockets of fermenting. Pockets of fermenting. I don't like it. The wait to play it out, the wait and see. It's a plague on discipline. There's been pockets of fermenting, Mr. Karn. And the best way to keep the blade sharp is to use it. That guy's the best. You like Arthur Morgan. Cryo, it's getting late. That name, I know the name. Refresh my memory. It's bad if I start missing references like that. So basically the second stage is going to do a Molina over Northern Australia. Kind of. Red Dead. Arthur. We got to go for one last job, Arthur. Yeah, Red Dead's amazing. Probably one of the best storyline video games ever made. Ever. You like the Scottish guy that mans the transporter? Yeah, and Cyril Karn. Cyril's a really good, really well-written character. I'm not sure what the stage is doing here. We'll see. No, I haven't seen the Twisted Metal TV show yet. Least favorite character? In Andor? Or just in general? 4 ground stations in view right now. Thanks for answering our random questions. It's all good, man. Where are they going with Cyril Karn? I asked because he saves Dedra in Season 2. She's not going to get burned by the ISP. No. I don't think so. Andor was awesome. Yeah. The reason why I like Andor so much is because, you know, as a Star Wars connoisseur, I put my pinky out and stuff. See right there? The Star Wars universe is supposed to be dystopian, like Blade Runner. And to see Disney movie, the Star Wars movies, just really, yeah. Oh well. It's a bi-elliptical geostationary transfer insertion, bro. Handy. Yeah. So bi-elliptical transfer. They're doing a couple of different burns to weed out the inclination, amongst other things. Are you gonna watch Ahsoka? What is that? He goes, I don't watch much TV. What happened on Ferrix was a disaster for the Empire. It's a Star Wars spin-off. Andor was the only good Star Wars show, period. I liked Mando. Book of Boba Fett is okay. The shows are better than the movies, Arby. You gotta give them that. They're way better because they had Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau to write them. That's why they're better. Obi-Wan was okay. Ashoka, what's it about, Sid? Yeah, Mando was good. Andor is awesome. Andor is fantastic. Ashoka Tano. Yeah, he is green. Oh, it's about Anakin's apprentice. Cool. I like Mando. Mando's a good time. You think Mando is vastly overrated? I mean, it's a good show. I liked season 1 a lot, Sarby. Season 1 of Mando is really good. Like, the whole Western thing that they got going on in season 1 is real good. And I think that's where a lot of the hype comes from. It's also canonized, the Rebel extended lore. Cool. IG-88, that's right. HK droids. Yep. Yeah, they got it right with Andor. Yeah, it's not supposed to be a nice place. It's supposed to be a dystopian, authoritarian nightmare, and that's what Star Wars was supposed to be under the Empire's rule. That's cool. That's what Star Wars is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be some happy-go-lucky thing where people use the Force to fly through space with no spacesuit. Yeah, Sid. Yeah, Shadows of the Empire on N64. You faced off against IG-88 at the Ord Mantell Junkyard. They talked about it in the movie. Fun fact. In The Empire Strikes Back, Hans mentioned something about Ord Mantell. She mentioned something about bounty hunters. IG droids are built to kill, man. Oh, yeah. They're going to go full multiverse and you hate it. Yeah, I think them trying to do an MCU-style thing with Star Wars is not going to end well, Zarby. I'm kind of with you on that one. Just make good movies. The Star Wars universe is one of the most, like, provocative and well-thought-out sci-fi universes around, dude. The best you can come up with is Episode 7, 8, and 9. That's the best you could do. Like, okay. Make a show about Dash Rendar. They should make a show about Kyle Katarn. But yeah, Dash Rendar would be good too. I personally think they should make Tales of the Bounty Hunters into a miniseries. Tales of the Bounty Hunters is one of the most righteous Star Wars books around. Parks is getting some uses today as a ground station. Cool, cool. Go to geostationary, maybe? Do you know the thing with the IG-88 droids taking over a Separatist droid factory and plan to take out all organic life? Yeah, it sounds like something they'd do. Yeah, Lord Fliffin.
Tranquility Base here.
The prequels are better. I didn't mind Episode 1 just because pod racing is really freaking cool, dudes. Pod racing is mint. Ja, Jupiter Noya, Banta Pudu. Pod racing is sweet. I liked Episode 1 just for that. I mean, like, there are other good scenes in Episode 1, but if we could just delete Jar Jar from it, it'd be an infinitely better movie. But I don't think they're better than The Empire Strikes Back. No way. Chet, what did you like better? Jedi or The Empire Strikes Back? Empire. Blasphemy. Watto is my spirit animal. Don't call me that.
High position signal Hobart.
There, we got an AOS through Hobart there.
Oh, the credits? Republic credits are no good out here. I need something more real.
I don't have anything else, but credits will do fine.
No, they won't!
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't! What do you think? You're some kind of Jedi? Waving your hand around like that? I'm a Tidarian. Mind tricks don't work on me. Only money.
What? Actually, you guys, you know, talking about Star Wars. You guys ever play Star Wars Galaxies? And if you did, if the answer is yes to that, well, first of all, right on. That game was awesome. I played the snot out of that game. Very good. Second of all, Starfield by Bethesda. Has anybody ever? Did you guys have watched the extended gameplay trailer? Did anybody notice that Starfield has a lot of gameplay mechanics that just happen to be exactly like Star Wars Galaxies? Even more fun fact: you know that Bethesda poached the team from Sony, like right around the time Fallout 76 went into development. They poached the team from like the original SWG. Yeah. That's kind of part of the reason why I'm really freaking hyped for Starfield, even though I don't really trust Todd Howard, but he didn't steer us wrong with Fallout 3 and 4 and Skyrim, so who knows. I didn't play Jedi Outcast Artusis. I played Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 on Windows a long time ago. It just works. Yeah, Green, pretty much. DJ, Empire Strikes Back versus the Bears. Death Star versus 10 Bears, 1972. DA Bears. Yeah, the Bears would win. And then the fridge would pound it in, King. Pound it in like the fridge used to do for the Bears. Yeah, Starfield looks good. Still going to wait till it's released. Yeah, me too, Arkson. Me too. But as a Star Wars Galaxies enjoyer, you know, pre-CU, jump to light speed. As a Star Wars Galaxies enjoyer, I kind of have to play Starfield because dude, going out, building outposts randomly, having to harvest resources to build ships and loot. That sounds a lot like SWG, man. That sounds a lot like Star Wars Galaxies, dude. Oh, Carlos, you unlocked Jedi pre-CU? Holy crap, dude. Good for you. That's not easy. What holocrons did you get and what professions were they? Dude, I remember the holocron grind. I opened up one holocron one time and it was like TKM and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like respecting my character. Screw that. Really wish I grew up in the age of Star Wars Galaxies. It's kind of hard for me to get into the fan-made project right now. It's really fun, but personally, the new Star Wars MMO is still pretty fun. That's okay. You did the Village, which is technically pre-CU, not the holo grind. Holy crap. Dude, okay, so we're going back to like 04, 05, Carlos. Okay, cool. Right on. What server did you play on, dude? I was on Scylla. Yeah, I know, Seacracken. I'm kind of screwed. You're on Chilastra? Right on, man. Hell yeah. Reb or Imp? Or nothing. Reb? Yeah, me too, man. Me too, man. Right on. Why does the trajectory look like it's going to the moon? It's not going to the moon, Cryo. A Hohmann transfer for a geostationary transfer orbit and a Hohmann transfer for the moon look pretty similar. But, yeah, your apogee is not... Their apogees are not close. A lunar injection apogee is technically like 250,000 miles that way. This one is 23,000 miles that way, so... Not the same. But as you get further and further out of the grav well, it costs less delta V to move the apogee further. Like if you're under constant acceleration, right? When you're still, when the apogee of your orbit is kind of still close to the surface, it's not going to move very much. But as it moves further and further away, it'll move faster and faster away if you're under constant acceleration. Like just doing a burn from a second stage. So anything that's going out into high Earth orbit, or something that's on like a translunar injection, is going to look super steep. They're going to look similar. They had a sticky valve, weather guy. Yeah, they had to replace a sticky valve in the in one of the boosters. That's cool, Carlos. Right on. You did the village grind, dude. I remember that. Pre-CU, dude. The skill point based system is still one of the best ever implemented, like, character spec systems I think I've ever seen. It's better than World of Warcraft. I'm sorry. It's better, like way better. Paper City, 250 bits. Thank you very much. But yeah, you guys wanna have a little chit chat about Star Wars lore? Just let me know. Let me know. We can do that sometime if you want. I'm not as good at Star Trek as I am with Star Wars, but Halo, I got you when it comes to Halo lore. I read all the books. All the books up to Ghost of Onyx. I haven't read anything past Ghost of Onyx. Now, Star Trek, I'm not the best. There are 1,000 people out there that know way more about Star Trek than I do. I'm a normie Star Trek fan. Sorry. Halo lore is fantastic, Bucket. Yeah. Yeah, that's why it kills me that they make new Halo games. I'm just like... Stop. Did you ever play through Halo Remastered content that came out a couple years ago? I never played all the way through, Weather Guy, no. Didn't the economy in SWG get hyperinflationary? No. No, not really. The economy started getting screwed up when the developers decided that it would be a quick and easy fix to let everybody get to be a Jedi Knight, right? And everybody started holocron prices got hyperinflated. You need to open holocrons to get 3 different professions so you could do your trials as a Jedi in game. And then if your character became a Jedi, you could literally just wreck everybody that wasn't a Jedi. The problem is that a Star Wars game that takes place during the Empire, during the time period that the Empire Strikes Back happens in, when there are literally 2 Jedi left in the entire, 2 Jedi left in the main storyline, Luke and Yoda, right? Having every other person be a Jedi kind of really got stupid really fast, actually. No, 343 doesn't exist, Devlin. 343 Disney'd the Halo series. Yeah, I said it. Thoughts on RVB? Hilarious. I watched the first episode of RVB. I watched username was episode 5 when it came out. You had to torrent it. It was really difficult. Awesome SWG recap video a few months ago. Would be great to watch off stream or on. If I had permission to watch something from the content creator that made that, Carlos, I'll do it, but yeah. Hey, Snail, happy Friday, buddy.
Acquisition signal, Parks.
There's Parks. Here we go. Bradley, you feel like a normie Star Trek fan. Star Trek lore is very, very vast. Very vast. My favorite Star Trek character is Q. Does that make sense? It should make sense. Q is my boy. Chaotic neutral. Because some men just want to rock the boat. Torrenting was hard. Torrenting was hard on a 128K connection, man. Yeah. It took freaking forever to get a 5-minute video. Are you planning on watching the final season? They still make Red vs. Blue?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Carlos, Tier 1. Thanks, man. Good to see that some old school SWG people are around, dude. That makes me happy. I had 28.8. I had no sympathy for you. That's one of the perks of living in the city, man. I don't need to do that no more. Because we got fiber out here now. Yeah, Twisted. Q is a troll in the trolliest of the trolliest sense. Awesome. I never played SWG, but I did play Dark Age of Camelot. DAOC, Ramsey. Alright, old school. Interesting, Krama. Huh. Another roundhouse kicking rancors to death. Is this boomer talk? No. I mean, okay, Picard. And don't shoot me, Janeway. You feeling all right? Thoughts on the new animated Star Trek shows? I don't watch Star Trek anymore. Username. Is Master Chief meant to represent a Marine? Master Chief is a Spartan 2 soldier. Krylox. He's part of an advanced weapons research program called the Spartan Program to make genetically modified super soldiers that were designed to take out UNSC insurrectionists on outer rim planets in the like that are on the outer reaches of UNSC control. The Covenant arriving there and him fighting them was just an accident. Like that's just kind of how that unfolded. Fun fact: Sergeant Johnson is a Spartan 1. He was part of the original Spartan 1 prototype development program. Told you. Master Chief technically has the rank of Master Chief Petty Officer, MCPO. It is... That's a really high rank in the Navy. Yeah, very high rank. Janeway crew entered the fracking Delta Quadrant. Picard did that once with Q. It's the highest enlisted rank, that's right. MCPO is an actual rank in the Navy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Special Forces of the UNSC, don't let the Hell Jumpers hear you say that. Those Hell Jumpers are nuts, man. Those ODST guys have got a couple of screws loose. His actual name is John 117. Yeah, what planet is he from? What's his home world? Who knows? Don't Google it. It's Sigma Octantis, okay? It's not Sigma Octantis. You're right. I actually forget what it is, to be honest with you. Oh, you're a Halo fan? When's the last burn? Another 2 hours. Yeah, I thought it was Eridanus 2. I think it was Sigma Octantis. I don't know, Crustacean. We're gonna have to go look. I'd have to go read Fall of Reach again. Halo test question. How many people did Sergeant Johnson kill on his first mission? I forget. It's been a while since I've read Contact Harvest. He wasn't born on Reach. Google says Eridanus 2. Okay, cool. I forget. What the hell is Sigma Octantis then? Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. So if you said Eridanus 2, you were right. Were you going to sleep? Yeah. I think we'll call it here. You guys want to talk sci-fi and gaming lore from different universes? I'm down. Well, which was the home of the training facility for the Spartan 2s. Yes. On Reach. Which got glassed. Did Spartan 1s have all the modifications of the Spartan 2s? The Spartan 2s were a Mark II version. So all the stuff that they learned from all the Spartan 1 soldiers that they fricked up, they applied to the Spartan 2 program. The Spartan program was run by a UNSC scientist named Dr. Catherine Halsey. Catherine Halsey had a AI flashed of her memory. That was a very, very super advanced AI for the time called Cortana. Cortana is a flash memory AI of Dr. Halsey in Halo lore. I don't think I've played Halo since the OG Xbox. Bradley, you should read the books. Serious, read the books. They're really good. Read Fall of Reach, First Strike, The Flood, actually Contact Harvest, Fall of Reach, First Strike, The Flood, and Ghost of Onyx. Amazing books. They're really good. Read? Alright, audiobook it, man. Would you see play the games then read the Halo books? Actually, if you wanted to do the chronological order of the games and the books at the same time, that would actually be really freaking cool. What about Last Starfighter? Greetings, Starfighter. You've been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada. Interstellar! What a great movie. Alright, guys. We're about 2 hours out from the SAT deploy. I'm going to call it here. I could sit here talking sci-fi for a long time. It's a great movie. Have you ever played any of the Metroid games? I don't know Metroid lore that well, Squishin. No.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Cracked. 16-month resub. Thank you. But anyway, I'm going to head to bed, dudes. Let's see who is out and about. Actually, there's not many people around. Thanks for the stream. No problem. We've been raiding that out a lot, man. Maybe we should just call it for the night, dudes. Etal is streaming. Racing Pro is doing Friday Night Racing with a bunch of people from my community. If you want to go see what he's up to. But yeah, I think we'll just do an old school sign off tonight. Well, anyway, last question, Sid. You're killing me. You're killing me, man. Yeah, Phoenix. There you go. That's right. Zarby, thanks for gifting that sub. I appreciate it. 10 million meters out now, 2 hours till next burn. All right, Devin. Thanks for keeping us in the loop, man. And thank you, everybody, for watching. I do appreciate it. I'm taking the next 2 days off. I need to take weekends off nowadays because I literally need to take care of my house. It's not the worst problem to have, but anybody that owns a house knows if you don't stay on top of this stuff, it gets out of hand real fast. So I gotta go do normie stuff tomorrow and the day after, which kind of sucks. I'll see everybody on Monday. We'll continue in Kerbal with the Star Raker build. We'll keep going with the Satisfactory Factory, and we'll keep moving trains around in derail. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. I don't know, Sid. I don't know. Just guessing. But anyway, I'm going. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and have a good night, okay? Cheers.